Welcome to the Beyond Sugar Freedom podcast. I'm your host, Danielle Dame, holistic nutrition coach and speaker. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode here on the Beyond Sugar Freedom podcast. I am your host, Danielle Dame, sugar freedom expert and speaker, and we've got another great episode in store for you today. Thank you so much for everyone who has been following along since I started this podcast at the beginning of the year. I'm so excited to almost be, getting closer and closer to the 1 year mark and celebrating. I've got some really exciting things in store that we're going to do here on the podcast on our 1 year mark in February. So stay tuned for that. And a huge shout out again, to all of you who have left reviews. I'm so grateful. Leaving a review on Apple, on Spotify really makes a huge difference in helping this podcast reach more people. So if you haven't done that yet, please take a minute to do that. That would mean the world to me. I want to read an amazing review from DSM44MO. Thank you so much for leaving this. She says, great podcast with advice to get healthier. I enjoy this podcast each week, and the advice is very applicable for anyone looking to make healthier choices in their life. Thank you so much for writing that. That really helps keep me inspired to keep recording these episodes and sharing everything that I have to share with all of you. And we've got lots of amazing topics and guests over the next couple months that I'm so excited to introduce you to. But in today's episode, we're going to be talking about habits. And this is such a perfect time of year to do that, as naturally we're all going more inward. It's darker, it's colder, the holidays are here or coming up quickly. And this is such a perfect time to start building some habits or start focusing on some habits. And there's a list, actually, I put together 10 of the top most important habits for consistently staying sugar-free, right? For really building a sugar freedom lifestyle, not making this just a quick fix or another diet, but actually making this a lifestyle. Habits are actually a tool that we can use to make these changes stick, right? And to make it become a part of who we are. So we're going to be talking about that a lot today. And before we get into that, I do want to share some fun life updates with all of you. I know I'm always sharing a little bit of wisdom and what's going on in my life. There's been a lot going on since I even recorded the last episode here, and I can't possibly fill you in on all of it. But some things that I really did want to highlight, and I want to take a minute to really celebrate all of the incredible women who are currently going through my Break Free from Sugar 10-week program. They're more than halfway through now and actually just heading into their week 2 of their sugar detox. And it's just been so incredible to watch these women overcome their fears and their self-sabotaging behaviors and support each other in our community in between our live calls to really get each other through tough times. So that first week is often the hardest. It was really incredible to see everyone show up for each other. And this is the power of accountability and the power of the right type of community that I feel so honored to be able to host and to support with. So I just want to highlight 2 of the women. I'm not going to read their names for privacy purposes, but we'll make up names. Kate, we'll make up Kate's name here. Says she's effortlessly eating 2 meals a day and looking forward to a birthday dinner tonight without thinking, where's the cake? I used to be so back and forth with occasions such as these now, and it doesn't even cross my mind. That is incredible. That is such a sense of freedom that Kate here is starting to really tap into and open up to. And it's, oh my gosh, it's just life-changing. I know that she tackled that birthday party with no problems. And, not having the cake wasn't even an issue as it would have been in the past for her, especially because it was actually her son's birthday party that she went to. So another one of the women I want to highlight here, who we'll call Suzanne. Again, making up these names, completely making them up. She says, this was actually just from yesterday. It's 5 p.m. on Sunday, and I've made it through my first weekend sugar-free. I'm not going to lie. Friday night was hard. I went to the grocery store after work, feeling a little hungry. Temptations were everywhere, especially the ice cream aisle, but I made it out the door with only the good stuff. So first weekend success, sugar-free ever. And we all know that weekends can be the most difficult, right? So huge celebration there. And these are just two of many of the amazing celebrations and conversations and challenges that are going on in the group. So I'm so proud of these current group of women. It is absolutely just an amazing group, and I can't wait to host this program again, which I will be doing in the next year, 2023. I haven't solidified exactly when yet, but if you are curious to know more about this program and how it's so incredibly different than anything that you've ever done before to get off of sugar, come and get your name on the wait list. You can find the wait list on my website, danielledame.com, or I'll of course post the link in the show notes below, and get your name on the wait list. You'll get early access, some special bonuses, and you'll be the first to know, obviously, when the next group is open for enrollment. So don't wait till January 1st to get a tackle on this. And this is my hope with this episode. Couple other things I want to share with you, and on a personal note, there's this weekend, actually, this couple days ago at the time of recording this, I was supposed to, I had some plans to do some really deep inner healing. And instead, I had a really big epiphany and intuitive hit that I needed to really, really start resting more. So I actually was forced in a way to really get honest with myself a few days ago about how tired I actually am. And for those of you who've been following this podcast for a while, you know that I've been grieving for the last 2 months. A little bit more than that now. And, there was a part of me that was thinking, well, I should be through this by now. I should be all good. I've cried a lot. I've processed a lot. I've gotten a lot of support in my grief. But the truth is that it's not finished with me yet, this emotion. And not even that, it's the low-lying energy that grief takes. And I'm really starting to get honest with myself about how just energetically and spiritually exhausted I am, and how much my body still needs time to rest. So that was a really big kind of epiphany and moment. I thought I was doing okay. I thought I was ready to get back into some projects. I had some things I wanted to do for all of you in December, some big things that I wanted to do. And the truth is, I'm really instead going to be honoring what I need and giving myself permission to rest. And I think this is also a sign of the time of the year. And I want to share this with all of you because I have a feeling that there are some of you listening who also need to give yourself permission to rest, especially this time of year, right? When instead of resting, which is what nature is calling us to do, to rest, to go inward, to go to bed early because it's dark, right? And to really just hunker in and get cozy, most are out there running around doing all the Christmas obligations, all the holiday obligations, all the things, and not resting, doing the opposite of resting. Things are busy. It's the year end at work. There's all sorts of excuses, and that's what they are. I'm going to lovingly call all of us out on that. These are excuses. A lot of what we think we have to do is not actually true. When we get down to it, it's not actually true. And I just got honest with myself about that this weekend. Some things that I had planned that I was like, oh, I should do this, or I've set these goals to accomplish by the end of the year, and I've had to take a hard look and really let myself off the hook with needing to push myself to reach some goal that can very well wait until next year. There were some projects that I want to do, some things that I want to build, and that can totally wait till next year. So it wasn't easy. And I want to share that with any of you who are in that place now, being like, oh, it's really hard to set that boundary for self-care. And it's really hard to get honest and honor that I am exhausted and my body needs a break. And I think most of us out there, most women, get really easily sucked into this burnout cycle. And we end up exhausted eating sugar to try to get through it. So instead, please, 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 if this is you, if I'm speaking to you and this resonates at all, please get honest with yourself. If you're tired, honor that and gift yourself some space to rest. So one of the things that I prioritized this weekend when I realized that, the next day I sat down my calendar and I booked in crazy self-care for the next 2 months. I've got massages booked. I've got a comedy show with a friend booked. I've got walks with friends, nature time, days off to do nothing. I've got all these things in my calendar that nourish me. and rest and took projects off of my to-do list. And it was hard, but it just I immediately felt lighter. I immediately felt like, oh, I can just give myself some time here and space for the next month or two, or however long I need until I'm feeling revived again and rejuvenated. So please do that. Please let yourself do that. Let yourself rest and do the things that nourish you. The other fun update before we get into today's episode, this is really exciting, and I'm sure I'll talk more about this in the coming weeks, but we're coming up on the annual, my husband's my actual annual hunting trip. And this is something that is such a big topic of debate for so many people. And I'll probably have to do another episode on why we choose to hunt and why we choose to harvest our meat as organic and naturally as possible. And it's actually a huge honor and a huge gift and responsibility to eat meat in general. And being able to hunt in this way really helps us connect. Mind you, I'm not there, but I am very connected, and I have been on hunting trips in the past. And it's such a beautiful gift of being able to connect with where your food actually comes from. And it's a very spiritual experience. It's a very deeply, gratitude-filled, love-filled, honor-filled experience. And to have this high vibration and high energy nutrient meat in our lives feels like an absolute honor and a huge gift. So that being said, this is at the end of November annually, hunting season here. He goes on his man's trip and goes and picks up a lot of meat, which is fantastic. And obviously we never know what's coming down the pipeline. But one of the things we do know this year is we have already actually purchased half a cow from his friend who he hunts with, who also raises their own meat. All organic, all absolutely loved and honored animals. We're getting some cow. We're also getting some pork straight from our friend who takes care of it all himself and even butchers it himself. And it's just so deeply honored and cherished. And it just feels like a really big honor. And on top of that, we're also hoping to get some more venison, which for any of you who've been following me for a year, that's what we loaded up on last year, which was great. I had to learn how to cook with venison, and which for those who don't know is deer. So hopefully we'll get some of that as well. All of that being said, we're expecting an influx of meat way bigger than last year. So actually on the weekend, we went and upgraded our freezer. So we have a massive freezer now that I actually just plugged in this morning, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be able to fit everything in there. And I'm just going to be in this space of abundance of cooking and also experimenting with new cuts of meat that I'm sure we're going to get from the cow that was butchered, and some cuts that I don't even know what to do with. So I'm excited to get in the kitchen and play with that and nourish my body and my blood sugar, right, in this really powerful and incredible way. So that's enough of the updates. More coming. I'll share more about that process and what that's like as we stock up for the year on meat, and also allow myself to rest, which for me really involves a lot of cooking. This weekend, I took a good 3 days of rest. I spent a lot of time in the kitchen, just prepping things. And I love that. It's such a creative endeavor for me now. And it just feels so nourishing and relaxing when I'm not rushed. And I've got a whole day to just tinker in the kitchen and do what I feel like doing. So this really ties into what I want to share today, right? As we talk about habits. So let's shift gears and dive into this, because habits make up somewhere close to 90% of what we do on a daily basis. They're the reason that we drive the same way to work, or when we go in the grocery store, we walk the same route around the grocery store. And in theory, without habits in our brain, these are subconscious patterns. Without these, we would be using a lot of energy and brain power to get through every piece of our day. If we had to think about learning how to brush our teeth every morning, or learning how to shower every morning, and then, all of these things that, we do on autopilot, right? So habits are the things that you sort of do on autopilot that are just a part of your everyday routine. Maybe it's a part of your monthly routine, right? Maybe you have monthly habits, weekly habits, daily habits, yearly habits, right? And these are really powerful tools that we can use when we're talking about the subconscious, and we're talking about really getting in there to make a lifestyle change when it comes to how we eat and how we nourish ourselves, right? Habits can be a really powerful tool. They can also be a hindrance to everything that we're working on, because most of us have created habits that are not supporting us, right? The habits of, binging on sugar every Friday night, or just drinking 4 cups of coffee as soon as you wake up in the morning without even having any water first. These sorts of things that don't support us, right? Or just don't contribute to the changes that we want to make when it comes to especially eating healthy foods and staying away from sugar, but also just our health in general, our mental health, our physical health. So these habits, right, can either support our health and healing or detract from it. Now, I want to share with all of you 10 of my favorite and what I would call the most important sugar freedom habits. So these are habits that I see as absolutely mandatory, either daily or weekly in your life, to really support a sugar freedom lifestyle. And this is, when I say sugar freedom lifestyle, I'm talking about that lifestyle. I know we all have a different definition of that, but for me, it's one where you're in the driver's seat, right? It's one where sugar no longer controls you, and you have the freedom to choose when and if and how much, if you do and choose to indulge in sugar. Or, if you're someone who is abstaining from sugar, then these are also equally as important, right? So no matter where you are and what your definition of sugar freedom is for you and your unique body and personality and lifestyle, these are really, really key habits, okay? So obviously I could do a podcast episode on each and every one of these, so I'm not going to spend too much time diving into each of them, okay? But I do really want you to listen as I share this list and pay attention to the ones that, might bring up the most resistance. This is where it's an opportunity to get really curious, because when there's, something that is shared with us or something that comes into our awareness that we feel like, oh no, I don't want that, that's often a sign that we need it the most. So I want to offer that mindset switch for all of you. If there's one of these that just feels icky, or like, I can't do that, or that sounds impossible, or you're noticing your ego really revolt against it, it probably means that that's probably the most important one for you, or the most important habit for you. Now, I will also say before I share this list, obviously you're not going to run out tomorrow and start all 10 of these habits, right? That's just not how it works. That's very overwhelming. And oftentimes you just won't actually create these habits. And I'm going to share with you after I share this list how we can build habits as well, and some tools that I've used in the past. But the most important ones, okay, let's start with number 1, meal planning. I know a lot of you just went, oh no, not that again. I hate meal planning. So yeah, we have a lot of limiting beliefs, a lot of self-sabotaging thoughts. There's a lot that comes up when I say, yeah, you have to meal plan. And it's so true. Now, especially in the beginning, the women who are in my program right now, we're just getting into, they're learning how to do their own meal planning in this program. We're doing that at the same time. They're learning how to set themselves up every week for, I need to sit down and be intentional with what I'm going to cook and what I'm going to, support myself with. This is especially important, I'd say, in the first year of your sugar freedom journey, maybe 2 years. And it ebbs and flows and it changes. And by the way, I have a lot of resources, and I actually have a whole program built out that helping women build a meal planning habit, because there's not one way. We all have a very different meal planning style, and most people have been doing it wrong for their unique type. So really just honor, if you've tried this in the past and it didn't work, try again. Okay. And try getting really honest with yourself about why it didn't work and what do you need to shift and do to make it work? Because there's no one way to meal plan. But the bottom line is that it is absolutely mandatory. If you want to make sure and ensure that you are eating sugar-free, healthy, nourishing, whole real foods as much as possible throughout the week, you must have a plan. You must have a plan. Whether you've prepped or shopped or not, just even having it written down. This is what, these are the meals that I'm making this week. Making sure you have all the ingredients in the fridge, right? Those simple things make a huge difference when you're at the end of a really long, exhausting day and it's 7 o'clock and you have no energy and you just want to order takeout. But no, you know what you're making and the ingredients already there. Or maybe it's already made. Maybe you batch cook on the weekend, right? Or you also have a stock of healthy food in the freezer. I love obviously stocking my freezer. We're going to have a very stocked freezer very soon with lots of nourishing foods. So meal planning is key, and it's can be tricky to build this habit, but it's vital. It's absolutely vital. Along with meal planning, number 2 in the most important sugar freedom habits is cooking from home. Okay, so this goes the same as meal planning. They're really tied in together, but the truth is most of us have deprioritized cooking from home or cooking for ourselves or being in the kitchen. We've had a lot of conversations about this with my current program because we have this belief in our society that cooking is a waste of time or it's not important, it's not a priority, and we massively need to shift those beliefs within ourselves and with our subconscious and actually learn and honor that if I want to be healthy and I want to live a long time, I'm going to need to cook. So some of you who are living on takeout or maybe living alone and maybe quote unquote hate cooking, I know that this can be a tricky one. So go slow. But I know because I've been through this that you can learn to love to cook and you can learn to be confident in the kitchen and make that a part of your self-care routine. Like I was just talking about earlier, I love being in the kitchen on my days off and creating and just being there cooking and either listening to music or watching a movie while I cook and just kind of taking that time for me. So I know you can get there too. And it takes time to build. It's almost like learning a new skill for those who have maybe never cooked, right? You've spent your whole life, on takeout or quick convenient foods or those processed crap that you buy in the freezer at the grocery store. And actually putting food together is a really big block for you. So start small. Start with really simple recipes and maybe one a week. Start small and just building up your confidence in the kitchen so that you can really start loving that process. And actually, I was reflecting before I started recording this today of all the things that, over the last 6 years, I've actually taught myself to only make at home. And I was thinking, wow, there's a lot of things that I've taught myself to make that I no longer buy from a grocery store. And that to me feels really nourishing. It feels really honoring. And it's taken me a long time to build those habits. So these are like micro habits underneath this cooking from home. Just actually this last year, I learned how to make my own fermented veggies. So I'm getting some probiotics. I make my own kombucha. I make it really low in sugar, which is amazing. I also make my own whole wheat organic sourdough, which is a new craft, a new skill that I'm still learning. I make my own almond milk. I cannot remember the last time I bought an alternative milk from the store. We always make our own cashew or almond milk from home, even coconut milk. We make that from home for our drinks and elixirs and coffees and things like that. And it's so good. Salad dressing, cannot tell you the last time I bought a salad dressing. I always make that from home. Same with soup stock, bone broth. These are things that are always made from scratch. And there's probably more that I'm forgetting. I make a lot from scratch that I really take for granted because it's a habit now. Like it's a habit when we're running low on almond milk. Oh, I'm going to soak some almonds and get ready to make that tomorrow, right? Or, oh, we're running low on salad dressing. Okay, I'm going to make that tonight so that we've got it stocked in the fridge for the next couple weeks. So this is it's just become a part of who I am. And I really want to reiterate that this was not always the case. I was the quick takeout pizza and the sidekicks and craft dinner and anything that was quick and easy and it was pasta or pizza, sign me up. So learning how to actually cook, and these things that I just mentioned are obviously above and beyond the meals that I cook, right? I'm cooking all my homemade meals, breakfast, lunch, dinner, that's all made from home. Very rarely will we order takeout, and that becomes a very real treat, maybe once every 2 or 3 months. And, the things that, again, this has just become a part of who I am, which is essentially what habits do become. Right? It's just, you're just that person that sits down every Sunday and meal plans. You're that person that just loves to cook from home. So get in the kitchen. Okay. These are really important. Okay. So moving on though. Habit number 3, sugar freedom habit number 3 is getting in the practice and habit of having a daily stillness and reflection. So I put those together because they often go together, right? Is spending time every day in stillness. And I say stillness because the word meditation scares people, right? And it doesn't have to be a formal meditation. You can literally just sit and focus on your breath for 5 minutes, maybe on your back porch with your cup of morning tea. It doesn't have to be a formal meditation practice. You can just sit on your couch. This stillness and silence, especially in the beginning of your day, is absolutely vital for your long-term success. And when you're doing this stillness practice, it's also an opportunity to bring in reflection, right? So reflecting on, and this is actually in the evenings, it's great to reflect on your day. But maybe in the mornings, you're reflecting forward on, what do I want today? Or what do I need today? Or what do I want to feel or do today? And just taking a minute to check in with yourself. This is essentially just a daily check-in. And it can take couple minutes, less than 5 minutes, right? And it can just be that opportunity to center, to calm, and to relieve the stress, and to feel more grounded and, capable through the rest of the day. So that is a really important practice. I cannot tell you what a difference that's made in my life and all of my clients who are building this practice for themselves, this habit for themselves. It is such an act of self-love. From getting up first thing in the morning, already being stressed and frazzled and running around, checking your phone, doing all the things, out the door, quick, barely having time to shove something in your mouth. Out the door you go on your way to work, and then you're working all day, and then you're rushing home and you go to grocery shop, and then, you're just going to pick up takeout, and then you collapse exhausted in front of the TV at the end of the day, right? And then you have trouble sleeping because of just your cortisol levels, and your nervous system is activated and fired up and running on sugar and coffee and all these things. So when you can start your day and end your day with a minute, a few minutes of just centered groundedness, it changes the way that you show up for the rest of the day. Really, really important. And when you're less frazzled and you're less crazy and less running around, feeling like you've got a million balls in the air, you're going to be less likely to reach for sugar, right? You're going to be less likely to reach for the junk food to get you through, because you might be, I'm going to actually take time to eat lunch today. I'm actually going to take time to take a couple deep breaths in this situation instead of just shoving candy in my mouth. So really, really powerful. Okay, number 4, tying into this a little bit, but bringing this more into when we're eating. Another really key important habit is to pause before you eat. Pause before you eat and eat mindfully and slowly. Okay, this is something I'm still not perfect at. I'm going to own that, but it's a practice, and it's really key, especially if you're in the beginning stages and you're wanting to understand more about why you're eating and what's really going on behind your cravings and those drives towards food and sugar. But pausing before you eat gives your nervous system a chance to calm down. Okay, we're about to eat something, right? Telling yourself, okay, getting out of a stress response because you've had a busy day or you fought with your boss or, these things are going on. Just taking a minute to take a couple breaths, literally 3 breaths before you eat. Pausing, okay. And it allows you in that moment also to check in if you're actually hungry. A lot of us are eating for emotional reasons and we're not actually hungry, right? Or we're eating, if you're anything like me, because you're told to eat. Well, it's 1:00. It's your lunch break. This is when you eat, right? And we're eating by the clock instead of by what our body is telling us. So when we do this, when we take a minute to slow down and even just take 10 minutes to consciously eat, we're supporting our whole digestive system, our mental health, and our connection with food, which is ultimately what we're doing here when we're living a sugar freedom lifestyle. Okay, habit number 5 is getting outside every day, daily nature time. This is so key. Whether you live in a giant city or in rural areas, wherever you live in the world, you can get outside every day. Hopefully you can get outside every day and even just spend 10 minutes, right? Walking around the block, walking around your building, right? Parking at the far end of the parking lot and walking into your office, really allowing yourself to get outside. And this is especially more important in the winter months, which we're all heading into for those here in North America or in those hemispheres. It's cold, it's dark. It's really hard to get outside when it's snowing out and it's freezing, but it's so key. And it makes a huge difference, especially in the morning, to get the natural light into your eyes to really help set your hormones up for the day and to even help you sleep better at night. So really important to just get that natural sunlight, or even if it's raining and dark and cloudy, you're still getting that fresh air and that natural light into your eyes to start the day, especially, but anytime throughout the day. Just having some sort of practice where you get outside. And this is really huge because it helps really ground and center us to ourselves, connect us to nature, and obviously moving our body is the benefit of that as well. Unless you just want to sit outside too. You don't have to move. You can sit on your deck with a cup of tea and just watch the birds, right? Or just be outside in the fresh air. We spend too much of our time, especially over the last few years, in our houses, the stuffy indoor lifestyle, which is so toxic for our mental health, our immune health, our physical health, and obviously our relationship to food. So getting out in nature is going to be very, very important. Number 6, habit number 6. I love this one. And this is one that is so key and we all forget to do it. I just tuned into this myself this weekend. And number 6 is asking what you need in any moment. Okay. And this might become just a morning practice, or it could become something you use throughout your full day. This is something that we, especially as women, have not been taught. And we've been taught that it's not okay to ask for what we need and to honor what we need. So this needs to change right now, ladies, right here, right now. You are more than allowed and you have all the permission in the world to honor what you need in any given moment. And what you need may change, and that is also okay. What you needed yesterday may not be what you need today. And the people around you who are inconvenienced by that, well, they can just go you know where. Okay, I feel so passionately about this because this is the ultimate act of self-love, right? Is really tuning into our bodies and what do we need, right? Like I just really deeply tuned in a couple days ago and wow, I need a lot more rest. I need to take some of these pressures off of me so that I can really allow myself, my nervous system, my body, my energetic fields and my spiritual self to rest, because there's been a lot going on. So what do you need? Maybe you need to go to bed early. Maybe you need to call in sick and have a sick day at work, right? Maybe you need some space from your family, right? Maybe you need to get outside. Like, what is it that you need? And yes, not always are you in a space where you can give yourself what you need. You might be in the middle of a work day and it's, you can't just go outside for half an hour and walk around, or maybe you can, right? But, really just, maybe you need a good cry, right? And that might not be, obviously, please don't do that at work, in the office. Wait till you're in a safe space to feel into those emotions, but do that, right? Go home and then have a good cry. So this is a really big habit that I want to add in. And this is, such a beautiful practice to be supporting yourself with on a daily basis. So this question of what do I need? And I encourage you to, when you ask that question, to put one hand on your lower belly, one on your heart, and even just closing your eyes and taking a couple deep breaths first really helps you tune inward and helps you connect deeper with your actual body and your heart instead of your head. And this is where the answer will come from with what you need. So habit number 7 really ties into this as well, is really trusting your intuition. And this sounds kind of funny as a habit, but I think it really is, because it's a daily practice. It's something that you do consistently. In learning to trust your intuition, it starts by asking what you need. And it starts with really listening to what your body is telling you, and really listening to what your gut and your heart are telling you, and getting out of your head. This is where our intuition lives, in our heart and in our gut, right? In our womb space as women, in our creative centers. This is really where all of our answers to all of our problems are stored. And we have become so disconnected from our inner knowing around things like what foods we're sensitive to, or what we want to do and what we don't want to do, and what job we want to be in, and what relationship we want to be in. And all of these things, all of these answers are stored within, and we just never get quiet enough to listen to them. So when you start rebuilding a relationship with your intuition and yourself in that way, and your higher self in that way, it changes everything. It changes everything, especially your relationship to food. So this is why this is such an important habit to have, is really setting yourself up to honor your answers from within. And when we're looking at our relationship with sugar, as the women in my current Break Free from Sugar program know, it's so much more than just food. Our relationship with sugar and with food is a direct result of our relationship with ourselves. And most of us don't have a relationship with ourselves. We don't know who we are. We don't know how to listen to our intuition. We don't know how to honor what we need. We don't even know what we need. All of these things need to start to come back together to get centered and grounded and in love and connected with our true selves. So ask for what you need was number 6. Number 7, trust your intuition. And yes, this is a habit because every time you trust and listen to your intuition, the muscle gets stronger and stronger and it becomes easier. And I just went through this weekend as well, right? I was really tuning into what did my body need and what's my intuition telling me here about these plans that I had that I've since postponed this weekend. Okay. Number 8. Okay. The final 3, obviously you've heard these before, but they're very important for me to remind you of because they're solid, consistent health habits for a reason because they support our body and our mind in detoxing from sugar and eating healthy. And number 8 is movement, right? Movement. And I'm not talking about exercise. You don't have to go to an intense HIIT class, but this can be, going for a walk in nature every day. This can be having a dance party. This is just walking up and down the hallway in your house or your building. We're just moving your body. I have a standing desk. This is one of the ways that I love moving throughout the day because when I stand, I'm moving. And I put music on and I'm often working and dancing and it helps me just keep my body moving. So move your body every day. Okay. And it doesn't have to be this, intense. Yes, obviously, having a strength and cardio fitness practice is important, right? For our long-term health. But it's also really just important to move. So on days where you might be tired or again, listening to your body, this is a big one as women who are still having a cycle, you'll notice that there's a week of every month that you just don't really feel like doing hardcore workouts. And that's great. Honor that. Go for walks, do yoga. You could do more gentle movement. So really, I'm actually shifting into that time myself right now. So I'm very aware, like, okay, this morning was probably the last run that I'm going to do. And I'm going to focus on more walks and more yoga for the next week, just to support my body as my cycle starts. So honoring that movement as well, and just moving throughout the day as much as you can. Take the stairs, all the things. Okay. Number 9 is sleep. Obviously, this is so key. So key. And it's one of those vicious cycles that we get stuck in just in our society, but also when we're hooked on sugar. Because when we're tired, we'll want to eat sugar to wake up, right? To give us an energy boost. And then we crash and it affects our whole sleep pattern. So we're not sleeping properly and then we wake up tired again. It's such a vicious cycle that you need to jam. We need to jam that cycle, right? And obviously when you get off of sugar, this starts to shift big time. You'll hopefully be prioritizing your sleep more, honoring that your body needs more sleep than you're probably giving it, and actually focusing on sleep. We had a dear friend of mine, Molly, was in many episodes ago. I can't remember the episode number now, but she came in and shared all about sleep. She is my sleep expert guru, and really, really recommend going back and listening to that episode if you have challenges with sleep. But it's so important because when you're waking up feeling rested and your hormones are balanced and your brain chemicals are balanced, you're going to be less likely to be craving sugar all day, right? One of the biggest triggers for so many is this tiredness, this exhaustion. And if you're doing all these habits that I'm telling you, right? Daily stillness, getting out in nature, pausing, slowing down, trusting your intuition, moving your body, right? You're going to have more energy. You're going to get more energized, right? And you're going to get off the sugar roller coaster. So sleep is, I have this as a habit because most people, again, have downgraded the importance of sleep, right? I'm just going to stay up till midnight. I'm going to get, be on my screens all night and totally mess with my circadian rhythms and not sleep deeply and then wake up exhausted and just do it all again. You're not going to do that anymore. Okay. Okay. Last but not least is hydration. Obviously, this is a big one. I know a lot of my clients struggle with, and maybe you do as well. Hydrate. This is so key, especially this time of year when there might be more indulgences. There might be more things that your body is trying to flush out. The shift in the seasons often weakens our immune system as well. It's cold, it's dark. So hydrating is going to be very top important, but it's important all year, all the time. And this can include things like herbal teas. A lot of people forget. I drink in the winter because cold water is not going to be something you want to ever put in your body when it's cold outside. So you want it room temperature, warm or hot liquids. So I drink a lot of tea. I'll often make a huge pot of like peppermint tea, or I have some other beautiful herbal blends. And then I'm not just drinking plain water, right? I know a lot of people struggle with that. And if you live in a city, your water probably tastes like garbage. So get a water filtration system. There's so much that we could talk about in terms of the importance and quality of our water. We'll have to do another episode on that, or maybe I'll bring an expert in to talk about that because it's so key for our overall health. But staying hydrated is so supportive for your sugar freedom lifestyle and helping your body really flush out any toxins, helping you feel, more satiated. A lot of times you might be craving or hungry just because you're thirsty. So really focusing on that hydration. It also will help with blood sugar regulation and just regulation of everything in every system and everything in your body definitely needs the hydration. So there you have it. Number 1, meal planning. Habit number 2, cooking from home. Habit number 3, daily stillness and reflection. Number 4 was pausing before you eat and eating slowly. Number 5 is getting out in nature every day. Number 6, asking what you need. Number 7 is trusting your intuition. 8 is movement. 9 was sleep. And 10 is hydration. And these are by far the top 10 most important habits if you want to actually continue and build a sugar freedom lifestyle, one where you're in control and you're not going down those dark rabbit holes of binge eating and eating junk to get through the day. So if you can set these up for yourself, you are going to be way ahead of the game. And as I mentioned already, this takes time. Okay. So pick one of these habits that you think right now is going to be the most important for you and spend the next 30 days focusing on it, doing it every day. Right? And then after that, add another one, right? Don't try to add all these at once because it's a quick way to just not really build any of these habits. So start slow and really tune into which of these did you have the biggest resistance around? Which of these do you feel like you are really disconnected from or don't do at all? And maybe that's the place to start for you. Now, I did mention earlier that I want to share with you how to build a habit, right? There's this question like, okay, this is great, Danny. These are great habits. And obviously how we build that is there's many different ways. And this is actually something that I go into deeper inside my programs and inside work with my clients because there's a lot of different steps and a lot of different pieces depending on your unique personality and who you are that will help you actually build these habits. But what we're doing when we build a habit is essentially creating a new neural pathway, right? You're creating a new neural pathway and hopefully overwriting an old one, right? And this is often what will happen. We'll notice there's an unhealthy pattern of coming home every Friday night and sitting on the couch, watching Netflix, drinking wine and eating junk, right? That was my old habit. I sure loved that one. It was a great way to numb out and escape everything that I was being challenged by. And, when we can start to create a new habit to override that, it's a great way of kind of getting rid of the old habit, right? And this takes time. The experts say that habits take anywhere from 60 to 90 days of consistent daily practice to actually build. So this is definitely a process and you're not going to be perfect at it. And there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of different research, a lot of great books, a lot of really great pieces out there to help build habits if you want to learn more about the science of habits and how that actually all works in the brain. But a couple tools that I love to use, and actually in my journey over the last 6 years in building various habits and showing up for myself in this way has actually encompassed all of these. And they all really deeply can be weaved together. So anything that helps you tap into your subconscious is going to help you plant new habits. So this might be practices of breath work, plant medicine. This might be hypnotherapy, theta healing, cognitive behavioral therapy as well. Like any of these tools that help us drop subconscious, help us drop into a different brainwave state so we can start to plant these habits, right? And we can start to plant these new beliefs, right? That are really transfer into the way that we act and behave every day. But one of the tools that I wanted to share with you today that is a great kind of way to start building a habit is by using what's called a habit loop. And this is something that I've used and I love using if ever I need to sit down and really want to get serious about creating a habit. I do this, and then obviously I build in all my other pieces around subconscious support and programming as well. So a habit loop is essentially this understanding that there is a cue, an action, and a reward to anything we do. Anything we do, anything that is a habit, there's a cue. So it's either a visual cue or an auditory cue or some sort of cue that causes us to take the action, which is the habit. And then we get some sort of reward from it. And no, this isn't a reward like a monetary reward. It's an intrinsic reward. So there's usually some sort of internal sense of comfort or joy or feeling or celebration, something internal that is why we're doing that thing in the first place. Because we don't do things in our life, even what we would call bad habits or unhealthy habits. We're not doing them to hurt ourselves. We're getting something from them. You better believe you're getting a big reward from numbing out on Friday nights, right? The reward there is probably getting to avoid and escape feeling the emotions and the pain that you're struggling with. And that is a reward, right? You're getting to avoid the tough stuff. So that's what I mean with the reward. So an example here could be your old habit of maybe waking up first thing in the morning, checking your phone immediately, picking that phone up right away, and you're scrolling on Instagram and you're getting really sucked into the news and all sorts of things that totally start your day off on the wrong foot. So the cue there might be, obviously your alarm goes off. Maybe you use your phone as an alarm. The action is you literally picking up your phone and starting to scroll. And the reward is this short hit of dopamine, right? This hit of dopamine that you get that's quickly followed by feeling terrible about yourself and the world, right? Which we know, is a big part of social media. So instead, right, I just want to show you this in action, right? Instead, maybe you want to create the new habit of waking up first thing in the morning and doing a quick 5-minute meditation in bed. Right? You want to just spend a couple minutes just reflecting and thinking about what you want with your day, or maybe reflecting on things you're grateful for, right? These things that you really want to plant in your brain first thing in the morning when it's most malleable. So the cue is going to be the same, right? Your alarm goes off, and actually, better yet, side note, you're waking up naturally without an alarm. This is something that I'm practicing now because it's so much better, but I know all of us can't always do that. So your alarm goes off, right? And maybe now your new action is you sit up in bed and you close your eyes and you just focus on your breath for 5 minutes. That's the habit, right? That's the new habit, right? And you're asking yourself, what am I grateful for? What do I need today? Anything else that you want to check in on with yourself? And you don't even have to get out of bed to do it, right? And this is how great this is. But maybe you want to take it up a notch and and go into a special room, or maybe you have an altar, you have a yoga mat spread out already to do that sit. But you can do it in bed, right? And the reward that you're going to get from that is, for example, could be feeling calm and centered for the rest of your day, feeling on track, feeling connected to yourself, and like you can handle anything. So this is just a quick example of how the habit loop works. And you can definitely use this for any of the habits that you're planning to build from what I just shared, or you're continuing to build. Write this down, brainstorm what could be some of those cues. Maybe it's a sticky note. I know I had a client years ago that wanted to drink a couple glasses of water before she had her morning coffee. And we brainstormed for her to put a sticky note on her coffee machine that said water. So when she got there, the cue was there's a sticky note that says water, so that it reminded her essentially to go and drink the water. And that worked really well for her. And it created that new habit. And before she knew it, she didn't need the sticky note. She just got up and drank water. That's a huge habit of mine. I get up every morning and I drink a liter of lemon water, warm lemon water. And it's a habit now. It feels weird in the mornings when I don't do that. My body is like, I'm dehydrated. Give me water. So, these things can be, they can be really easy. They can be that simple as a sticky note or a notification on your phone. I mean, use the tools that we have access to. A note on your mirror, right in the bathroom. So use what you have access to and just start playing around with this. So there you have it. These are your most powerful 10 incredible, important habits for you to build if you want to actually get serious about having a healthy lifestyle. And this is so much more beyond just your relationship with sugar and food. This is also, you'll see a lot of these habits are really helping you build a relationship with yourself, which ultimately is where a relationship with food starts from. So let that be your final reminder here. And thank you so much for tuning into another episode. I am absolutely loving, showing up here and all of the feedback. Thank you again, everyone who is taking a minute to leave a review. It means the world to me. And final reminder, anyone who's interested about learning about more details about my upcoming Break Free from Sugar program, which I will be hosting again in 2023, come and get your name on the wait list. I'll post the link to that below in the show notes. And we will see you on the next episode, everyone. All right. See you then. Thank you for tuning in to another episode. If you're loving what we talked about today, please remember to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone you love. And if you're ready to dive deeper into discovering your root causes and patterns that are keeping you hooked on sugar, be sure to check out our brand new free workshop series that will help you kick emotional eating for good. Find the link to download this free series and other amazing resources in the show notes below.